Welcome back, everyone. World Baseball News for the week of March 13th. We are right in the middle of the world's greatest baseball tournament. The 2023 World Baseball Classic got started last week. After 6 days, 2 pools are complete. The other 2 will be done in the next few days. Second round will start and end this week. A week from tomorrow, we'll have our champion. Let's start with Pool A, the very first pool to begin play last Wednesday. It was a wild week in Taichung. We knew going into it that these teams were on a very similar level, and it showed. No one could have predicted just how even it would be in the end. The first game of the 2023 WBC was Cuba and the Netherlands. 6,500 in attendance. Chunichi Dragons pitcher Yariel Rodriguez got the start for Cuba. For the Netherlands, it was Tom de Blok from the Dutch League. Cuba struck first in the second inning on an RBI double from Yadiel Mujica. Netherlands evened it up in the third on an RBI single from Didi Gregorius. The Dutch took the lead in the sixth when Josh Palacios singled in a run. Later that same inning, Chadwick Trump hit a 2 RBI single to make it 4-1 Netherlands. Cuba got one more run in the seventh. Again, it was Mujica driving it in. Franklin Van Gerp threw a scoreless eighth for the hold. Wendell Florenis tossed a perfect ninth for the save. Netherlands took this one 4-2. Wednesday night, the home team took the field in front of 15,500 fans as Taiwan took on Panama. Chi Wei-hu got the start for Taiwan. Humberto Mejia took the mound for Panama. No score till the fourth when Luis Castillo hit an RBI single to make it 1-0 Panama. That was followed by an RBI single from Jose Caballero, an RBI double from Yadiel Santamaria, and one more RBI single from Christian Bethancourt to make it 5-0 Panama. Taiwan got on the board in the fifth when Yu Chang singled one in, but the sixth inning was another big one for Panama. They added 6 runs to make it 11-1. Taiwan would score a few to avoid a mercy defeat, but the deficit was too much to overcome. Panama won this one 12-5. The 2 winners from Wednesday met in the early game on Thursday, Panama versus Netherlands before a crowd of 6,000. Jaime Barria took the mound for Panama. Chiron Martins got the start for the Netherlands. The last time Martins had faced Panama was the first WBC in 2006, when he threw the WBC's only no-hitter in a 10-0 rout of Panama. He didn't dominate like that this time, but he did go 3 1/3 without any runs surrendered. Xander Bogaerts hit a solo homer in the third to give the Dutch a 1-0 lead. 2 innings later, Jurickson Profar added to that lead with a solo shot of his own. Erasmo Caballero singled in Panama's first run in the sixth, but that was all they'd get. Bogart scored again in the eighth on a wild pitch. Van Gerp and Florenis once again allowed nothing in the last 2 innings. Netherlands improved to 2-0 with a 4-1 win. Thursday night, Italy took the field for the first time, facing Cuba with 6,200 in attendance. Cuba went with Rowanus Elias to start this one. He lasted 5 innings, no runs allowed. Italy started Matt Harvey. He made it 3 scoreless innings. No score till the sixth when Brett Sullivan hit a sac fly to make it 1-0 Italy. They added one more in the seventh on an RBI double from Miles Mastrobuoni. Cuba tied it up on RBI singles from Lorenzo Quintana and Arisbel Araway Barrena in the 7th and 8th innings. Still tied at 2 after 9 innings. In the 10th, Italy got 3 runs, batted in by John Valente, Dominic Fletcher, and Nicky Lopez. Italy got the win 6-3, and Cuba fell to 0-2. Friday, Cuba and Panama met in front of 7,000 fans. Cuba, desperately needing a win, put their faith in Ronald Bolaños. Panama entrusted Andy Otero. Cuba got things going early. Alfredo Despaigne batted one in the first. Yadiel Mujica doubled in another in the second. 2-0 Cuba. In the bottom of the second, Panama got a 2-run homer from Ruben Tejada to tie it up, and later a 2 RBI single from Alan Cordoba to take a 4-2 lead. But Cuba scored 4 runs in the sixth. Yohan Moncada batted in the go-ahead run, and the next batter, Luis Robert, drove in another to make it 6-4 Cuba. 1 inning later, they got a pair of 2 RBI singles from Mujica and Moncada, and Cuba rolled in this one, 13-4 to keep their hopes of reaching the second round alive. Italy and Taiwan faced off on Friday night in front of 18,700 fans. Ryan Castellani was the starter for Italy. For Taiwan, Xiao Qing-chung. Both pitchers only lasted 2 innings. A seesaw game early on. Tzu Wei Lin homered in the first to give Taiwan a 1-0 lead. Italy scored 2 in the second on a sacrifice bunt from Nicky Lopez, and an RBI triple from Ben DeLuzio. Big third inning for Taiwan, RBI singles from Che Xian-chen and Po Rung Wong, and they led 5-2 after 3. In the fourth, Nicky Lopez, Miles Mastrobuoni, and Sal Frelick batted in runs to put Italy back on top 6-5. Lopez drove in another run in the seventh to make it 7-5. But that was all they would get. A 2-run homer from Yu Chang in the sixth tied it up at 7. Taiwan took the lead in the seventh on a single from Kuo Chen Fan, and padded the lead in the eighth on a 3-run homer from Kongkwan Gilyaguya. Taiwan relievers Yu Shun Chen, Yen Ching Lu, and Chia Hao Sung combined for 4 scoreless innings to end the game. Taiwan came out on top 11-7. Saturday, 7,700 came out to watch Panama and Italy. Last game for Panama, and they needed a win to stay alive. Harold Arauz was their pitcher for the day. He tossed 4 scoreless. Italy's starting pitcher Michel Vasilati pitched 4 innings, but allowed the game's first run. That came in the second, a solo home run from Jose Ramos. No further scoring till the 7th when Alan Cordoba singled and Jose Ramos once again crossed the plate. After Arauz came out, Humberto Mejia and Alberto Baldonado each threw 2 shutout innings. Javi Guerra closed it out with a scoreless 9th, and Panama prevailed 2-0 to end the first round with a record of 2-2 and a chance to make the second round. Saturday night, Taiwan vs. Netherlands, 18,800 in attendance. Tzu Peng Huang started for Taiwan. Lars Hoyer started for the Netherlands. Didi Gregorius batted in the first run in the top of the first. Netherlands led 1-0. Big second inning for Taiwan. Li Lin, the reigning CPBL MVP, hit a bases-loaded single to tie the game at 1. Then Yu Chang cleared the bases with a grand slam to give Taiwan a 5-1 lead. And they never lost the lead after that. They got an RBI triple from Che Xian-chen, another RBI single from Li Lin, among others. Taiwan over Netherlands 9-5. First loss for the Netherlands, both teams 2-1. Sunday, last day for Pool A, Taiwan and Cuba in the afternoon. Shi Peng-chen started for Taiwan. Elian Leyva got the start for Cuba. Interesting because in just a few weeks, Elian Leyva will be pitching in the CPBL for the first time. Cuba wasted no time in this one. Alfredo Despaigne doubled to drive in 2 runs in the first inning. Right after that, Erisbel Aroe Barrena hit a 2-run homer. It was 4-0 Cuba after 1. In the second, Yohan Moncada hit a solo shot. 4th inning, Roel Santos singled in a run. Taiwan did not score till the 9th when Yu Chang hit an RBI double. From the 5th to the 8th innings, they didn't even get a hit. Onelki Garcia and Levan Moanello combined for 3 perfect innings in relief. Cuba won 7-1 as both teams finished at 2-2. One final game of Pool A, Netherlands and Italy. Jadon Estanista started for the Dutch. Matt Harvey for the Italians. Chadwick Trump got the scoring started in the 3rd with a solo shot to give Netherlands a 1-0 lead, but Italy went on a tear in the 4th. 6 runs on hits from Dominic Fletcher, Brett Sullivan, Vinny Pasquantino, Ben DeLuzio, Sal Frelick, and Nicky Lopez. Italy's pitcher Matt Harvey lasted 4 innings, just that 1 home run given up. 5 relievers all threw a scoreless inning each, and Italy rolled past the Netherlands 7-1. And here's how it looked at the end. We said it before it started. Anyone can win it, anyone can finish last. And every team did just that. All teams end pool play with a record of 2-2. But only 2 get to move on, and after counting the runs scored and runs allowed, Cuba is the Pool A champion. Italy is the runner-up. Those 2 teams move on to the quarterfinals in Tokyo. Netherlands failed to reach the second round for the first time since 2006. Panama automatically qualifies for the next WBC. First time since 2009 that'll happen for them. Taiwan is the unfortunate team that finishes last. Tied for first, but when everything was added up, they were the last place team, and they will be relegated to the qualifier for the 2026 WBC. Pool B got started last Thursday. Everyone, myself included, thought they knew exactly how this one would turn out, but right from the beginning it was not what we had expected. Australia and Korea met in the first game on Thursday afternoon. Young Pyo-ko started for Korea. Jack O'Loughlin started for Australia. The Aussies struck first on a sac fly from Logan Wade in the 4th, followed by a solo homer from Tim Kennelly in the 5th. Australia led 2-0. Bottom of the 5th, a 3-run homer from Wee Ji-young gave Korea the lead 3-2. In the 6th, an RBI double from Byung-ho Park extended the lead to 4-2. But in the 7th, Australia took back the lead on a 3-run shot from Robbie Glendinning. Another 3-run homer from Australia in the 8th from Robbie Perkins gave them an 8-4 lead. Bottom of the 8th, Korea loaded the bases with nobody out. A walk, a ground out, and a force out scored 3 to bring them within a run. But that's as close as they would get. Josh Geyer tossed a scoreless 9th for the save. Australia shocked everyone with an 8-7 win. At night, the home team took the field before a crowd of 41,600, taking on China. Shohei Ohtani was on the mound for Japan. Xiang Wang got the start for China. In the bottom of the 1st, it looked like Japan was going to light up the scoreboard right away. They loaded the bases with no one out. Munetaka Murakami drew a walk to force in the first run, but that was all they'd get. A pop-out and a double play ended the inning. Ohtani batted in 2 runs on a 4th-inning double to make it 3-0 Japan. China got on the board in the 6th on a solo homer from Pei Long to make it 3-1, but Japan poured it on late. Shugo Maki hit a solo shot in the 7th. 4 more runs came in the 8th, driven in by Tetsuto Yamada, Sosuke Genda, and Taki Akai. Atsuki Yuasa struck out the side in the 8th. Hiromi Ito tossed a perfect 9th, and Japan cruised to an 8-1 win. Friday, the Czech Republic made their WBC debut versus China. Daniel Patisak was on the mound for the Czechs. Fu Yangzhou started for China, but he would only last a third of an inning. The Czech team scored on an error and a sac fly from Martin Music in the first to take a 2-0 lead. 1 inning later, Matej Menzik homered to make it 3-0 Czech lead. China got on the board in the fifth on an RBI groundout from Jin Jun Lo. But the Czechs answered in the sixth on an RBI single from Philip Smola. Big seventh inning for China. 4 runs scored on singles from Jin Jun Lo, Pei Long, and Jin Young. China took its first lead 5-4. But in the top of the ninth, Martin Music hit a 3-run homer to take back the lead for the Czechs. Marek Minarek ended the game with 2 2/3 scoreless innings for the win. Czech Republic got their first ever WBC win, 8-5 over China. Friday night, the one everyone was waiting for, Japan and Korea in front of a sold-out crowd at Tokyo Dome. Kwang Hyun Kim started for Korea, Yu Darvish for Japan, but this would not be a pitcher's game. Lee Ji-young gave Korea the early lead with a third-inning 2-run homer. Same inning, Jung-hoo Lee with an RBI single to make it 3-0 Korea. But in the bottom of the third, 4 runs came in for Japan on hits from Lars Nootbaar, Kensuke Kondo, and Masataka Yoshida. Japan led 4-3. Kondo homered in the fifth. Korea got a home run from Kunwoo Park in the sixth. It was 6-4 Japan at that point. But it got ugly in the bottom of the sixth. Japan scored 5 runs. Korea, meanwhile, couldn't get anything going. Japanese relievers Yuki Udagawa, Yuki Matsui, and Hiroto Takahashi combined for 3 perfect innings to end the game. Japan rolled 13-4 as they improved to 2-0. Korea 0-2. Saturday, China versus Australia. Shin Ji took the mound for China. Australia went with Kyle Glogoski. This one was a blowout from the very beginning. First inning, Rickson Wingrove hit a base-clearing double to give Australia a 3-0 lead. A pair of third-inning singles from Darryl George and Aaron Whitefield made it 5-0 Australia. China got on the board in the fourth, scoring on a wild pitch and an RBI single from Jin Jun Lo. That was as close as they would get. The Aussies put up 5 in the fourth, started by a 2-run shot from Robbie Glendinning. Another run in the sixth, 1 more in the seventh, and that was it. A 12-2 mercy win for Australia as they improved to 2-0, while China fell to 0-3. Saturday night, Czech Republic versus Japan. Such a contrast in starting pitchers here. Roki Sasaki with his 100-mile-an-hour fastball started for Japan. Ondrej Satoria with a fastball in the 70s started for the Czechs. And this provided an early advantage to the Czech team, as Japanese hitters weren't used to seeing such slow pitches. Marek Klupp got a first-inning double off of Sasaki and scored right after on a throwing error. And for a little while, the Czech Republic led Japan 1-0. But in the third, Masataka Yoshida gave Japan the lead with a 2-run double. Tetsuto Yamada followed with an RBI single. 1 inning later, Nootbaar, Kensuke Kondo, and Otani batted in runs. Sasaki threw 3 2/3, just allowing that 1 run while striking out 8. Hiroya Miyagi pitched the last 5 innings, 7 strikeouts and just 1 surrendered. Japan won 10-2 to improve to 3-0. Sunday afternoon, Czech Republic versus Korea. Lucas Ercole on the mound for the Czechs. Sewung Park for the Koreans. Korea came out charging. 5 runs in the first inning. Jung-hoo Lee, Baek-ho Kang, Hyun-soo Kim, and Tommy Edman driving those in. Ha-sung Kim added a solo homer in the second to make it 6-0 Korea, one of 2 solo homers he had in the game. But things calmed down after that. Czech pitcher Jeff Barto came in and pitched 5 2/3 innings with just 1 allowed. The Czechs got on the board in the 7th on a 2 RBI double from Matej Menzik. Korea's starting pitcher Sewung Park lasted 4 2/3 shutout innings. Yongchan Lee closed it out with 4 strikeouts in a row. Korea won this one 7-3 for their first win. Sunday night, Australia versus Japan for the Pool B title. Australia brought out 20-year-old Diamondbacks prospect Will Sheriff. Japan went with reigning Pacific League MVP Yoshinobu Yamamoto. First inning, first 3 batters, a walk to Nootbaar, a single from Kondo, and a 3-run homer from Otani. Second inning, 2 more for Japan on an RBI double from Nootbaar and an RBI single from Kondo. A bases-loaded walk to Otani in the 4th made it 6-0 Japan, and 1 inning later, catcher Yuhei Nakamura hit an RBI double to make it 7-0. Australia didn't get on the board till the 9th when Alex Hall homered to avoid the shutout. Yamamoto threw 4 scoreless with 8 strikeouts. Australia was held to just 5 hits for the game. Japan won easily 7-1 to finish pool play undefeated. Monday afternoon, Czech Republic versus Australia. Martin Schneider on the mound for the Czechs. He lasted 5 1/3, allowing only 1. Jack O'Lolan for Australia. They were tied 1-1 through 6 innings, but Australia took care of business in the late innings, with 7 runs scored in the final 3. Australia 8-3 to clinch a spot in the quarterfinals. Last game just ended. China and Korea. Tae-in-1 started for Korea, Alan Carter for China, and this one was all Korea. A record 22 runs, 20 hits, 10 walks. China only managed 4 hits for the whole game. Kunwoo Park and Ha-Sung Kim both hit grand slams. Final score, Korea 22, China 2. Final standings in Pool B, Japan wins it with a record of 4-0. No real close games for them. Australia advances. No matter how it ends up, this will be their best WBC ever. Korea third at 2-2. Very disappointing for them. Czechs were 1-3, avoiding relegation, so they will be a part of the 2026 WBC. As for China, they lost all 4 times and lost badly in some of them. They will have to qualify for the WBC next time. Quarterfinals begin on Wednesday at Tokyo Dome when Cuba takes on Australia. Thursday is the other match. Japan will meet Italy. Winners of those 2 games move on to the semifinals in Miami. Pool C kicked things off in Phoenix on Saturday. First up was Colombia and Mexico. Over 28,000 in attendance for the Pool C opener. Julio Arias got the start for Mexico. For Colombia, Nabil Crismat. Good starts for both pitchers. Crismat lasted 4 innings, only 1 allowed. A 4th inning RBI single from Isaac Paredes. Arias was perfect through the first 4, but in the 5th, an RBI double from Elias Diaz, followed by a 2-run homer from Reynaldo Rodriguez, made it 3-1 Colombia. Mexico got even in the bottom of the inning on a 2-run blast from Randy Arozarena, game tied at 3. Reynaldo Rodriguez struck again, driving in another run in the top of the 7th. Mexico answered right back with Alex Verdugo driving in the tying run. They went to extra innings. In the 10th, Colombia took the lead, scoring on a fielding error. Guillermo Zuniga threw 2 scoreless innings to end the game and earn the win. Colombia got the win, 5-4. In the night game, USA began its title defense while Great Britain made its WBC debut. A crowd of just under 40,000 on hand. Vance Worley started for Britain, Adam Wainwright for USA. Trace Thompson homered in the first inning to give Britain a 1-0 lead over USA. But of course it wouldn't last. USA got 2 in the 3rd, brought in by Nolan Arenado and Kyle Tucker. 3 runs in the 4th, all brought in on a home run from Kyle Schwarber, and another in the 6th as Arenado hit his 2nd RBI double of the day. But the scoring ended there, not the blowout some were expecting. USA took this one 6-2. Sunday, Canada played its first game against Great Britain. 11,000 in attendance for this one. Cal Quantrill started for Canada, Akil Morris for Britain. It would be a rough day for both of them. Top of the first, 3 runs for Britain. Chavez Young stole home and Darnell Sweeney hit a 2-run homer. Canada started the bottom of the first with a home run from Edouard Julien, and they went on to score 5 runs that inning. Britain scored in each of the first 4 innings, got a 3-run homer from Harry Ford, but Canada scored in all 6 innings, including 4 runs in the 3rd, 6 runs in the 4th. Tyler O'Neill was 4 out of 4 with 4 batted in. Game ended after 7 innings, a mercy win for Canada 18-8, and the highest scoring WBC game ever. USA versus Mexico on Sunday night. Nick Martinez starting for USA, Patrick Sandoval for Mexico. Joey Meneses kicked things off in the first inning with a 2-run homer to put Mexico ahead early. And they never looked back. Meneses went 3 out of 5 with 2 home runs and 5 batted in. Mexico won big, 11-5. Pool C standings going into Monday's games. Canada and Colombia are 1-0. Mexico and USA are 1-1. Great Britain 0-2. Anything can happen in the next few days. This week's schedule in Pool C. Today, Colombia versus Great Britain and Canada versus USA. Tuesday, Canada versus Colombia and Britain versus Mexico. Wednesday, Mexico versus Canada and USA versus Colombia. Pool D got into the action on Saturday in Miami. Opening game was Puerto Rico and Nicaragua in front of a sellout crowd of 35,000. First ever WBC game for Nicaragua. They put Carlos Rodriguez on the mound. Puerto Rico used Marcus Stroman. Rodriguez only lasted 1 inning while Stroman went 4 2/3. In the first, Francisco Lindor crossed the plate on a groundout from Emmanuel Rivera, and Puerto Rico led 1-0. In the 5th, Elian Miranda of Nicaragua knocked one over the fence to tie it up at 1. But Puerto Rico scored 5 in the 5th and added 3 more in the 7th. Lindor, MJ Melendez, Javi Baez, and Christian Vasquez all driving in runs. After Stroman gave up that 5th inning home run, 5 Puerto Rican relievers combined for 4 1/3 shutout innings. Puerto Rico cruised to a 9-1 win. A big one in the night game, Venezuela versus Dominican Republic before another sellout crowd. NL Cy Young winner Sandy Alcantara starting for DR, Martin Perez for Venezuela. The Dominicans got busy right away. A Juan Soto double brought Julio Rodriguez across the plate, and they had a quick 1-0 lead in the first. Venezuela answered in the second. Anthony Santander hit one over the fence to tie it at 1. In the 4th, 2 runs scored on a David Peralta single, and Venezuela had a 3-1 lead. Peralta came through again in the 6th with an RBI double to make it 4-1. And in the 8th, Eugenio Suarez singled in a run, and it was 5-1 Venezuela. The Dominicans got 2 runners on in the 9th, but Jose Alvarado finished them off. Venezuela 5-1 for the win. Israel took the field on Sunday facing Nicaragua, about 20,000 in attendance for this one. Dean Kramer got the start for Israel, Ronald Medrano for Nicaragua. No runs allowed by either pitcher. First run didn't come in till the 5th. Nicaragua took a 1-0 lead on an RBI double from Stephen Layton. That lead would hold till the bottom of the 8th. Spencer Horwitz drove in the tying run for Israel. Garrett Stubbs hit a bases-loaded double to make it 3-1 Israel. Nicaragua had one more chance in the 9th, but 3 up, 3 down. Robert Stock closed it out for the save. Israel prevailed 3-1. Puerto Rico and Venezuela met in the evening. Pablo Lopez starting for Venezuela, Jose Berrios for Puerto Rico. Tough day for Berrios, 1 inning, 6 runs. In the first, Salvador Perez singled in the first run of the game, making it 1-0 Venezuela. A 3-run homer from Anthony Santander made it 4-0 after 1 inning. In the second, Salvador Perez back to the plate with a 3-run blast to put Venezuela up 7-0. Puerto Rico tried clawing their way back, a solo home run from Eddie Rosario in the second, 4 runs in the 6th. But that early deficit was too much to overcome. Salvador Perez was 4 out of 4 with 5 RBI for the day. Venezuela 9-6 to improve to 2-0. Here's a look at the Pool D standings as it is right now. Venezuela leads the way, the hardest part of their schedule already taken care of. They just need to avoid an upset now. Israel is 1-0, but the next 3 days they are going to play a nightmare of a schedule. Puerto Rico is 1-1, Dominican Republic 0-1, Nicaragua 0-2. It's not looking good for Nicaragua now. They needed to win that one versus Israel. Now they need a huge upset, or 2, if they want to avoid relegation. This week's schedule in Pool D. Today, Dominican Republic versus Nicaragua and Israel versus Puerto Rico. Tuesday, Nicaragua versus Venezuela and Israel versus Dominican Republic. Wednesday, Venezuela versus Israel and PR versus DR. And that's all for this one. Until next time, this is Baseball International. See ya.